Around here, there's a bunch of crooks around here.
You ain't supposed to be in that jail, boy. Get out of there, man.
No, that's a total no, man. VAT coming.
Is my salary going up?
The Bahamian people gotta wake up.
This is my 5 cents, and I approve this message.
The U.S. State Department criticizes the Christie administration for its many unfulfilled promises and a lack of transparency in the country's buying process. The Prime Minister responds. Government officials and Atlantis make a major announcement about the future of the resort. Plus, Sandals partners with one local sorority to benefit teen mothers. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Perry Christie is vigorously defending his government over statements made in a recent United States State Department report. The report on this country's investment climate highlighted unfulfilled promises by the Progressive Liberal Party. Our Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
Despite what was outlined in the report, Christie today insisted that there are better days ahead for the Bahamas.
Better days are ahead. And that statement from me as Prime Minister on behalf of my government will be the true measure of the success of our agenda for change.
While the Prime Minister said he was optimistic that the outlook for the Bahamas will improve, he claimed it was unfair for the U.S. report to be based on what has happened so early in his administration's second term in office.
It is simply inappropriate to look at a snapshot of the current situation and draw negative conclusions on the success of our plan. We were abundantly clear in the Charter that while our plan does offer numerous measures for short and medium-term relief, a responsible government cannot think only 5 years at a time.
The June 26th report knocked the PLP on not fulfilling ambitious promises it made to the Bahamian people on the campaign trail in the run-up to the May 7, 2012 general election. It pointed to campaign promises such as the creation of 10,000 new jobs, the implementation of a national mortgage bailout plan, and returning the majority shares in the national telecoms company to state control. The report also said lackluster growth and continuing high unemployment have encouraged a shift in the government's policy toward a more aggressive and coordinated pursuit of new foreign direct investment, as well as a renewed effort to implement promised reforms. The Prime Minister also corrected part of the report that stated both Moody's and S&P downgraded our credit rating in 2013.
I must take the opportunity to correct one statement in the State Department's assessment to the effect that both Moody's and S&P downgraded our credit rating in 2013. In actual fact, Moody's announced a downgrade in December 2012, but clearly stated that this reflected the worsening in the government's balance sheet since 2007, largely on the basis of a low and inadequate revenue base. Nothing to do with 2013 and 2014. In fact, let me say personally as Prime Minister my disappointment because they picked up in a similar fashion of WikiLeaks what opposition sources were saying and not what in fact an objective assessment of what the government was saying.
Meantime, there were some positives highlighted in the report that also stated the Bahamas maintains a relatively stable environment for investment and demonstrates a long tradition of parliamentary democracy, respect for rule of law, and security of life and personal property. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce is also speaking on the State Department's report, which criticized the government's lack of transparency in awarding contracts. Chairman Robert Myers told Nassau Guardian Business the country is now at threat. He revealed a number of international companies have approached the chamber with complaints and concerns regarding a perceived lack of transparency in government procurement processes. He warned if the government makes a mockery of the bid process, it runs the risk of qualified bidders no longer wishing to bid on government contracts. Myers reiterated his call for the government to enforce the Freedom of Information Act. In other news, Atlantis and government officials made a major announcement at the office of the Prime Minister this morning. It was revealed that when Kerzner International's management contract with Atlantis expires in September, Brookfield Asset Management has created a subsidiary company to take over. In an announcement at Cabinet Office today, executives said Brookfield Hospitality will assume management of Atlantis Paradise Island and will be led by Atlantis President and Managing Director George Marcantonis and other senior Atlantis executives. According to Brookfield Managing Partner Andrea Balkin, the change in management will have no impact on day-to-day operations at the resort.
Brookfield Hospitality will take over management of the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas beginning in September of 2014, which is when our existing contract with Kerzner International expires. Important thing for everybody, particularly our employees and our guests, is to know that there will be a seamless transition. The people that everybody is dealing with now will continue to run the Atlantis as Brookfield employees, for the near term.
Meantime, Atlantis has completed a $1.9 billion recapitalization supported by Brookfield Asset Management to place Atlantis on secure financial footing. Brookfield and its institutional partners have made an additional $195 million equity investment in the resort. In addition, Atlantis has arranged and closed on a $1.75 billion 7-year fixed-rate credit facility from a consortium of lenders. Atlantis had until June to complete the refinancing of its multi-billion-dollar debt and had previously said it needed assurances and guarantees from the government in order to make that happen.
And we're quite excited because this transaction enables us to put the financing to bed for a period of 7 years and enables Mr. Marcantonis and the team to really focus on our primary mission, which is a first-rate hospitality asset, which we continue to invest in and which we can continue to drive more and more.
Prime Minister Christie says the government is pleased about these latest developments and the promises that have been made.
There will be no reductions in staff at the resort during the current ownership. 2, the resort will continue to be operated as a world-class facility and maintain high standards. 3, Bahamian contractors, labor, materials, supplies, etc. would be utilized to the fullest extent at the resort. And 4, in making more facilities available for Bahamians,
the minister responsible for tourism and gaming today responding to recent comments by his cabinet colleague, Labor Minister Shane Gibson, who had said on Monday that Bahamians who want to gamble should not be discriminated against. According to the draft legislation revealed in the Nassau Guardian, the newest draft of the gaming bill would prohibit wed shop owners from allowing foreign visitors to gamble in their establishments, as well as continue to prohibit Bahamians from gambling in casinos. Today, Wilchcombe revealed that many of the hotels that operate casinos have negotiated exclusive rights to market to foreign gamblers.
Truth is, we have a number of issues in this country that we have to look at in terms of discrimination. I could tell you 1 or 2 right now that we have to address, but the truth is we have used a system that's been going now for many decades. It was all for the growth of our country. Whether or not we wanted to get to the point where Bahamians were spending a lot of money in the casinos, domestic. We must always remember this, that when the casinos were agreed to, they were agreed to be an amenity, and amenities of the hotel industry. It's still there. That's what it is right now, and that's what I intend to ensure it remains for the moment, because I think that's what's expected. We have to look at some of the other concerns, obviously, and that's moving forward.
Wilchcombe also said the government is seeking to keep both sectors of the gaming industry separate. He added that in order to do that, they must ensure everything is covered in the legislation.
Within the legislation, we must ensure that the legislation itself is accepted globally, because we have had a reputation for almost 100 years now. Only on one occasion were questions ever raised, when we had the Royal Commission of Inquiry in Grand Bahama, but we've always had a high-end gaming.
He added the consultation and discussions about the bill are still ongoing, and the government now hopes to have it all completed and tabled by the end of the month. Wolscombe also said the government is still weighing the option of establishing a national lottery.
We're not going to close our eyes to the possibilities of what lotteries can do. We've been talking with companies. Foreign groups have come to the Bahamas asking for letters of invite to be included in the consideration of a lottery license. And the reason for that is very simple, because there is value to it. And we have to think at all times of how we're going to fund healthcare, how we're going to fund education, how we're going to fund culture, how we're going to fund sport. We have to think about these things.
Well, while the gaming bill is still being tweaked, Dr. Hubert Minnis has made it clear that as leader of the Free National Movement, he will not support it. Minnis said that the government's actions are bordering on dictatorship as opposed to democracy. Simone Davis reports.
Dr. Hubert Minnis previously stated that he and the F&M will not support the government's plan to regulate the web shop industry. Today, he said that the party's position has not changed because it is something that the majority of the people rejected in 2013.
What I said is that the referendum was held, whatever they want to call it, the referendum was held. The people spoke. I and the Bahamian public are servants of the people. The people spoke and they said no. The Prime Minister had said whatever the outcome of the referendum, he will honor. The people said no, and he was supposed to honor that. You cannot, at this particular time now, try to change what the people had said. That is undemocratic, and that's bordering on dictatorship.
Minnis also noted that his views are not based on the gaming bill alone, but the belief that the government should make decisions based on the will of the people.
It has nothing to do with the gaming bill per se. We are on the side of the people. Being servants of the people, we are on the side of the people. And the people already spoke, and therefore we must respect the wishes and the will of the people. So that's our position.
He also said that the Bahamian public is generally disappointed in the performance of the government thus far.
The Bahamian populace generally are disappointed with the performance of this government. They have made many promises and have kept very little, if any. I think I'm saddened to see that under this government the middle class is shrinking and poverty is increasing, when if you want to expand your economy, the middle class must definitely expand, not the reverse as we're seeing here. And this government must do things to empower the Bahamians and grow the middle class. If they continue to shrink the middle class, then this economy is even for further disaster.
When asked his thoughts on the bill, Minnis said that he hasn't seen it yet and has to see it in its entirety before he can make a responsible comment on the details. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.